All right, guys. So today and the other day when you're not on the field trip, you guys are going to be creating a protest poster. So you are taking on the role of the colonists that you've been playing. So you're a patriot, loyalist, or neutralist. Though neutralist for this project particularly, you're going to continue being a neutralist, but because neutralists don't just usually go to protests, you are going to take a stance. So you will either be a patriot or loyalist, and I should be able to tell that by your poster, anyways. So I'm going to go over some of the requirements that I'm going to have for this. So I have posted this all as an assignment, and you'll see I've got some information that gives you kind of a go about of the general directions. And then I have attached some things that I think would be pretty useful to you. So this poster is going to be as if you are going to go outside of the Stamp Act Congress and you're trying to protest to the delegates that are inside, your feelings on what has been going on pretty much since the French and Indian War. So that's why I put the British solution on here, because this kind of goes through some of those major actions that Britain has taken thus far. And that's going to be on those first two slides. We talked about like the writs of assistance with the warrantless entry. So soldiers can just go in and search private property without a warrant. Then you got the Sugar Act, where yes, they lower the tax, but they're actually enforcing it now because that Currency Act is going to send way more soldiers and just customs officers to the colonies in order to actually cut down on this smuggling. But then those admiralty courts, that was the big one there. You no longer get a jury trial, and the judge who actually gets a portion of the smuggled goods, if it's deemed that you have smuggled them, actually will profit off of that. So definitely just a whole different, these were rights that all Englishmen have, that they have had, and then now all of a sudden they no longer have this right. So definitely not making many merchants very happy. Then we have the proclamation line, which we talked about. A lot of you might have seen yourself fighting in the French and Indian War. You wanted to move into that land. Now you can't. So you could focus on that action. The Sugar Act, which we kind of already talked about. The Quartering Act, which that was where, they forced to save on money. They are going to force the colonists to be the ones to house or take care of the soldiers. And then really that Stamp Act, which is what's going to ultimately cause Congress to meet, where you're getting that excess tax or that direct tax that you can see, like how we see sales tax today. So, you're going to have any paper products, you're going to have to get the stamp, which will be an additional tax on top of however much that document, playing cards, certificates, however much those cost in the first place. So you are going to take one, or you could combine multiple, and you're going to decide how are you going to protest this, whether you're in support of this act or you are against it, depending if you're a loyalist or a neutralist. So then if we go to our classwork tab again, that's your first attachment. And then here are the requirements for the actual poster. So I went ahead and listed those again, all of those acts or just actions by the Crown that you can choose from. And on the second slide, I have put the actual guidelines. So you need to have some type of slogan. A slogan is not a paragraph. So they have a example there, the "Down with King George, independence equals freedom." That's straightforward, right to the point, rather than this "King George" and go on and list all of your grievances or things that you're not happy with. So you definitely want to have a slogan. This slogan, I should be able to tell right away whether you're a patriot or a loyalist from this slogan. It does need to be simple, and then make sure that it's pretty clear what you are complaining about, whether you do that through like the symbols that you choose to put on or the actual words in your slogan. So I showed this example to a lot of you guys in class. This "the king is going down, stand against the crown." But here's how I know what act they're talking about. So warrant needed, no entry, So they're definitely talking about the writs of assistance there, right? That warrantless search. So I could tell right away from the slogan that this is a patriot, and I know right away from the things around what they're actually talking about. So just keep that in mind, and then this would be on the other side. So this would be from a loyalist. You want British rights, but you don't want to follow British laws. Hashtag pay. So this is basically saying, hey, you need to ante up and just pay these taxes. So they are more referring to that stamp tax. So just make sure that whichever side you're on, that you are hitting that requirement when it comes to your slogan. You need to have images or symbols on it. This symbols I'm going to get into here in the next few slides. So this doesn't have to necessarily be you drawing like an amazing picture. Sometimes symbols can be very simple, but they're giving a point across, and it does need to be colored. I have plenty of color materials up in that student materials area for you. So when it comes to symbols, you can use symbolism in a lot of different ways. I'm sure you've talked about it in ELA, but with the symbolism that I'd like to see in your poster, you could do it with color. So these are typically what colors universally are seen as when it comes to like what they represent. So you can kind of look through that. I gave some examples. Here are some examples of like actual objects and what they typically stand for. A big one that I see in a lot of these posters would be like that skull or skeleton in some way, which has that negative like death or something that's really negative and bad symbol with it. You've got some animals and objects here that have some symbols. And then I added a few here that I've seen be helpful over the years, as well as some links to some more symbols. So you're not limited here to just this. If it's something that you could see being used as a symbol today, like a more modern use of that, I'm okay with you using that as well, as long as it's very obvious where you stand as far as whatever you're protesting. And then this is going to be the rubric that I use to grade you. So you can see your slogan, just your slogan alone is going to be a third of that grade. Creativity, really, as long as it's evident that you put some time into this. You don't have to be the best artist, but it does need to look like you plan this out. You put a lot of thought behind each element that you put into this poster. And then as long as you hit all of those check marks on that first slide, you'll get that last 10 points of the 30 that you ultimately will receive. So please use this time wisely. These posters are due on Friday, but you're going to be gone one of the days, whether that is Wednesday, Thursday, or if you went on Tuesday. So you will have 2 class days to work on it, and then Friday we are actually going to vote. So please make sure that you have that completed, and email me or ask the sub or even Miss Puckett if you have any questions. All right. See you guys.